Hello out there. It's time for another episode of Kit Basher. And, well, here I am. I'm out here in the shop. I got a table full of junk, a handful of tools, just enough stuff to tear into some plastic and make a mess. And sniff a little glue in the process. So I've been having fun with all kinds of stuff. Of course, you know, I got a really cool idea for a iPhone case Bacta tank, recharge bivouac sort of chamber, and with the double plastic. That's going to be cool because I think that's going to lead to putting some relief in that and then sending some wire and detail through and making it even more 3D so that and then maybe that will be like charcoal black and stuff. And then it'll give some 3D detail to the inside of that so that there'll be some lighting and shading and shadowing and, you know, make that literally look like some kind of a chamber. And I can always look around for some, these are sometimes easy to find, just the boxes. So anyway, that's just one of the many fun things I'm fiddling around with here. Before something gets really tore apart, such as this poor defenseless little helicopter. This was the helicopter, and I'm going to briefly put this thing back together just enough to show what I did to it to make it into something else. All right, I gotta put this there. Okay, this was the once upon a time. We're a chopper. It was a chopper. I don't know if that's the right thing, but anyway, it were a chopper. It were a helichopper. But you see, and I took the fin away. All right. Oh, holy smokes. All right. So here goes the transformation. First thing I did was, well, I did this later, but it's going to fall as soon as I move. I take the fin away and the props away. And then I decided where I wanted to cut this. And I got that off of there. And then I took this back part off of there. And after all that chopping and slopping, I am left with this, which I have glued it back together now because this is my final sled. And I'm gonna borrow this here meathead from his picnic table. And then demonstrate here with one action figure and, of course, this guy out of his little chamber here. And there we go. There we go. Put you in the back seat. There we go. So we got this kind of thing going on. So now remember, this was the front of the helicopter when it was a helicopter, but this is now the back, and I cut the back of the helicopter, and I got this nice detail with the slant. This gives me, like I said, I'm calling this sled right now. We'll get a couple seats. I have seats from stuff in here that I can, you know, mimic the original seat that was in there. I can do stuff like that, but I think for this purpose, I'm going to get out some black plastic and I'll cut my own seats like I did with my other Starship, and I will make a couple of seats to sit in this little sled. I kind of want them to be a little bit springy, so it has some, you know, maneuverability for when the figures sit in there and stuff, depending on who it is and so on and so forth. So the seats will be mounted on a spring, and I'm going to close that gap here shortly with a Dremel and some plastic and some glue. And then from there, we're going to come out with something tubular and go way out front. Way out front. And much like a speeder bike would have had, you know, those fins that stick way out, real, those flimsy, looks like it might be a steering mechanism of some sort. Anyway, that hydrofoil kind of deal, or airfoil, whatever you want to call it, that would be an airfoil out there out front. Some sort of steering, I believe, is what that is. But anyway, that gets the sled section of it kind of close to what I'm thinking. And then, as always, some form of a booster, you know, on either side of it, if you can imagine. This on one side and one on the other. This isn't it. This is like a toy scope, but it's bulky enough to give you the impression of, you know, some real haphazard looking thing that was literally chopped up stuff made into a speeder, as you would be stuck on the desert with nothing but broken stuff from Jawas. So anyway, making ordinary junk into Star Wars. So that's one project. I'm really excited about that because I have quite the collection of speeders and land speeders, rail speeders, and speeder bikes and swoop bikes that are 99.9% done. They need a few more greebles and some paint apps to start really coming to life. And then they need, you know, some figures and a place to sit, to live. Oh, okay, so this came out of another project I'm going to pull out here in a second, but this was a console that was in a different helicopter. So that, excuse me, this is going to make a lot of sense as soon as I take a pilot and I'm going to put a seat in here just for a moment. And I'm going to pop him in here. Oh, hey. I'm going to put it in my lap for a second because it's very fiddle farting around with it, wasting time on camera. I'm going to lose my action figure here in a second. There we go. So I want to sit him down. Get in there, buddy. Get in there. Get in there. Sorry. There. Anyway, I want to illustrate what this is going to look like to make all this wasting time on the camera worthwhile. I've got to come to this conclusion for the viewer. It's painful to watch, I know. So, not exactly there, but okay, that took me a second to assemble. Sorry. If you can see in there, now do you see what I'm talking about? We're starting to look like, you know, and there's room for another guy to sit there and, you know, some kind of, some sort of engine. Boy, I wish I had two of these identical, you know. That would be perfect. I could start there. And then I'd have this detail in the back of the flat engine thing going on. Anyway, that is going to be the rear end of one of the speeders. So that's one of the projects. We'll sit that down and leave everything right there where it's at. Got some of these guys that are pill tops that some of them I'm taking that completely out of there, that clear center. But, you know, they are fun for doing things like this. Some of them might become some goggles. Who knows? Those are kind of cool. We've got a little bit of a steampunky thing going on. I don't know, steampunk's way old, but that's what I think of when I think of those. Goggles, that's what I think of. Oh, let's go from that to making things from complete junk. That part will segue into this part. If you are into Star Wars ships, I think you'll see this and you'll begin to imagine what ship I'm talking about if you're into Star Wars. And if you said, is it X, Y, or Z? I'll give it a few seconds. Y, you're right. Y is it. Y-wing. Does that start to look like a Y-wing engine or not? Now, originally they used the eggs container, or the legs, eggs from the legs containers to do this. But this is my version of it. And I discovered this shape using one of these. I've gotten this lid from it's an old pill bottle from a script. My mom and dad have a script that comes, and they have all this with the kind of pill bottles that their stuff is sent in, and they have tons of these at the end of the month. So some of them I take out of the recycling bin, and we bash them. We bash them indeed. So we take that out of the center, which is a pain in the ass to do without destroying it, but it can be done with a flathead screwdriver. And this is what you get. You get that little orange ring, and then this beautiful piece right here, I'm going to show you how I get that. It's inside here. That's why I have this one that says now all but expelled. Yeah, I did get a little bit of rain out of that, but this one won't spray anymore up into the air, so it's pretty much spent. So there's some parts that come out of there. Here's one of them. This is the bottom of those, which, you know, if you flip that around backwards my way, the inside of that can be a very interesting detail. That could be the inside of an engine. It's really flexy on the outside, so you can do some shaping with that. Plus, at this height, you could almost make a tabletop for a diorama. You could almost make like a booth, corner booth, you know, with this, if you were clever enough. But that's enough about that. What else have I been working on? I did glue a couple things in. You got the back of that. That's the top part of that puppy chopper thing. It's now been glued to there. So we have this type of apparatus. It's got a real Cowboy Bebop kind of feel with that red. It's kind of a strange color, but I don't know what this other thing came from, but it's the cockpit of whatever this becomes. And that's where it's at right now. Its boosters are there. Those. And that was in another video. So anyway, I'm going to make another one of these tonight. What else am I talking about? The other helicopter. The other helicopter, I have cut it down to where this was the front of it. There's the side where there's no door. I don't have that. And then there's this side that opens that I have to decide what I'm going to do with that. If I'm going to cut that out of there and do something, because that takes up a lot of space in there. But, so I have this canopy. I'm thinking this is going to serve as some form of tail gunner. I'm going to flip that over. And yeah, by flipping that over, yeah, flipping that upside down like that, it lends me more, I can put a seat in there for someone to just actually sit on a tail gun, literally. So at the tail end of a ship that I'm building, I'm going to have some big engines like X-Wing style, but I want to build something that's sort of like an X-Wing, Y-Wing kind of ugly thing, bulky, but I always envisioned a tail gunner. Because in my opinion, after they failed with several attempts at the trench run, they would have recognized the need for trench fighting snub fighters and developed something with a tail gunner option. So if they ever had to make that maneuver again, they would have more rear defense cannons available to them. So anybody following them in the trench would have been pulverized. Any TIE fighters, any followers, they could have ion cannoned the living shit out of all those guys until the tail gunner was gone. But they had a tail gunner that had a lot more X-Wings when they were done with that fight. Anyway, that's what that's going to be. And you can imagine, you know, the leftover bits. You know, I have the two sides. I think they're going to be surface material. You know, on a larger ship, it's probably going to be a table-sized ship. I think they'd be good surface material details with some of the other greebles. There's that one. Let's see. I haven't really done anything with the puppy chopper. just topped the chop off of that. Well, you'll see where it ended up over here from being part of that. So just, yeah, it's a slow process tearing things apart and putting them back together in different ways. And there's still this one. I haven't quite decided where to start. I know I want to take a lot off of it and alter it in a lot of ways, but where to start and what to start carving on, I don't want to mess it up just yet. I definitely want to mess it up. What else? What else? What else? It seems like there was another thing. I haven't done nothing to the tank yet. However, in the process of doing this one, this has been completely transformed. It used to have, in these 4 slots around the edges, a lot of extra detail like this. Like all the way around, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around this thing. Had these guys on it, and it was sitting with this. There we go. It had this sort of thing going on right here. Aha. All right, and it sat like that, and it was on this little bowl. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was like some sort of a kid's toy slash lunch kit. I don't know, cereal bowl kind of thing, because it's definitely a kid's toy with all the stuff going on. But at this point, I can't really recognize what it was now, because I've taken it apart to do this. I've done relief cuts here and there, and I've left the flip top canopy alone because I like that. It just seems like a nice functional option to leave in place. So in diorama mode, I can still get in there and, you know, replace a battery, make sure the lights are working, or maybe that might be where the on switch is, by right there, for turning the lights on for this diorama when it's all built. But it's going to be some sort of Millennium Funkajizzle right there. It definitely screams Star Wars. I'm at 17 minutes, and I didn't want this to be much more than 20, if at all. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it as far as video right now. That's where I'm at. And I think that's tonight's starting point. Oh, maybe a little teaser trailer. I did find this Tide Bowl pods. Very interesting shape. I like this handle here. It's something about it kind of screamed at me. It was like, I want to work with that. And then I was looking for something that would match the, not the thread, but just the overall size. That would be a good fit. If something already fits snug, once you add super glue and a little bit of baking soda, it gussets, and then it's a solid fit. So this is going to become part of a ship that is going to be bridging its way forward to some form of a cockpit. So it might or might not become the middle of this ship, or I really don't know where that's going to play in. I kind of want this to be the larger, more defined part of this piece, so this might just be a completely different ship than what this is. But anyway, this is definitely kind of like some sort of a Millennium Falcon, Dash Rendar's, or Han Solo's and Dash Rendar's Carillion side cockpit ship kind of things, with that kind of bomber style cockpit. I like the look of it. Like I said, anytime you get that view, you just, oh yeah, we're in Star Wars. It just seems like I should be seeing hyperspace through those windows. You know what I'm saying? So on that note, let's get that for the end of the video. Alrighty. May the glue be with you.